Hello everyone, this is Moses from Wilona's Cave. In the previous episode of The Witcher, which was the Halloween special, it ended on a cliffhanger with the rolling of the dice to see if Merrick, the Witcher, was having a nightmare. I rolled a d6, and if it rolled on a 1 to 3, then it was indeed a nightmare. And if it rolled on a 4, 5, or 6, it wasn't a nightmare. Let's begin with the results of that dice roll. And it rolled on a 3, so Merrick was having a nightmare. But I wonder if the nightmare had any significance. Now let me tell you the scene that I have in mind, and then I'll roll with Mythic to see if the scene is modified. The scene that I have written down is that I want Merrick to tell Elros, the halfling, about the nightmare. Now the chaos factor is at 6, so with a d10 roll of a 6 or less, the opening scene I created for this episode will be modified. Let me drop in a d10 and then re-roll. I rolled a 5, which is an altered scene, which means altering the scene to the next most logical idea. Well, I wanted Merrick to talk to Elros about his nightmare. So what's the next logical thing to do if he can't do that? I got it. Merrick still talks to Elros, but he doesn't mention his nightmare. Merrick speaks to him and asks whether there is anything deep in the dark forest. Maybe what he tells him will be similar to what Merrick experienced in his nightmare. Okay, let's begin. Merrick sat down at the table next to Hannah. Diggory the ogre was at the table as well, but there was no seats to accommodate his size. Elros was bringing more cups from the kitchen, which were full of hot tea with mint that he harvested that grows near the river. As Elros gives Merrick his cup of tea, Merrick looks at him and asks, "You mentioned that there is an evil entity in this dark forest. Do you know where it lives?" Does he know? Let's find out. Let me go to the fate chart. I'm going to put the odds at likely because in the past he told us that he had been here a long time. So long that I am assuming he probably has ventured deep into the dark forest to try and get out. The chaos factor is 6, so a roll of 85 or below is a yes. Let me drop in a D100, then re-roll, and it landed on a 73, so it's a yes. Elros responds, "Why yes, yes I have. Once I spent 3 days and nights deep in the dark forest, and on the last day, I saw the monster." Let me cut him off here. Let me go back to the fate chart and ask if the creature lives in a deep dark pit, like the one in Merrick's nightmare from the previous episode. I'm going to lower the odds with this question to unlikely. So with a chaos rank of 6, that is a 50 or below to get a yes. Let's re-roll the D100, and it landed on a 55. So no, the creature does not live in the deep dark pit that Merrick saw in his nightmare. Okay, let's get back to Elros and let him continue. Like I was saying, before I was rudely interrupted by the Game Master, I traveled for 3 days and nights, and on the last night, I did indeed see the monster. It was odd. Typically the monster could sense my presence, but it acted a bit odd that night. I hid behind a tree and saw it. He saw it do what? Let me use a supplement and roll to see what the monster did. I'm going to use the Book of Random Tables under the forest locations. Let's drop in a D100 in the tray, re-roll, and I get a 44. A 44 is an ancient stone sarcophagus. So there is an ancient stone coffin in the middle of the dark forest. Let's continue with Elros. In the distance, I saw the monster open a stone coffin and climb into it. Then the stone lid slowly closed. Then Elros looks at Merrick and asks, "Is there a reason you asked me that question, Merrick?" I want Merrick to tell Elros and the rest of the party what he saw and heard in his dream. Merrick took another sip of his hot mint tea, looked at everyone and said, "I had a very odd dream last night. I dreamt that someone was calling me and using my name to go deep into the dark forest. I heard people and friends from the past as well. They were blaming me for their deaths. I also saw myself as a little boy when I first began training in a school to become a witcher. I then saw a deep, dark pit and heard voices and battles from my past, resonating from within it. The voices I was hearing were trying to convince me to jump into the pit. Merrick sees that Hannah squints her eyes, and Diggory rubs the bottom of his chin. Has Elros seen a deep pit in the middle of the dark forest? Let's go to the fate chart and ask. The chaos rank is 6, and I will put the odds at 50-50. So a roll of 65 or less is a yes. Let's drop in a D100. Re-roll. And it landed on a 66. So close to a yes. In the past, when the dice roll is this close to a yes or a no, I interpret them a bit differently. The answer is still a no. Elros has not seen this deep pit, but he does know something about it. Now let's continue the narrative with Elros. No, I can't say that I have seen a deep dark pit in the middle of forest. Although I have heard stories about ones that become lost in the woods and follow voices for long distances, traveling even deeper into the woods to end up only in pure darkness. Merrick looks at the party members and then at Elros and says, I think we need to find this monster and where this darkness is coming from. Elros, do you have any camping gear? And with your help and your guidance through these woods, we might be able to finally free you from here. And I will end the episode right here. Let me do some quick bookkeeping. I am going to lower the chaos factor down to 5. There are no new NPCs. Are there any new threads? Yes, we have multiple new threads. 1. Find out where this darkness is coming from. 2. Find a campsite, which is a setting, a camp move, which is something new. 3. Convince Elros to come, which will be a hireling. 4. I forgot to add this to the thread list from episode 3, and that is, why is Elros a critical extreme yes halfling? And that is it for the bookkeeping. I hope you all enjoyed the episode from Wilona's Cave. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to get more content like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and happy gaming, everyone. Bye.